Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. You recall, Advocate Johnson, when we started yesterday, we started with the requirements of Section 27 of the NPA Act, the referral affidavit.
Correct.
And you indicated to the commissioners that where the affidavit is deficient, it is standard practice that you engage the person who made the referral to get clarity. Is it safe to assume that you do so to enable you to take a decision whether or not to proceed? You can't take a decision at a particular time because of the deficiencies that lie in the affidavit. And the engagement with the referee would then, I take it, enable you to look at what you've now collated holistically and say, yes, I have a basis to authorize an investigation. Would I be correct in that conclusion?
That is correct.
Okay. Now,
Council, before you proceed, may I just respond to something, Chair, a request that I had made prior to tea. There is no need. I take the points that were raised by Commissioner Baloy, and I leave it where it is in terms of whether or not I should still look at the application for the Section 2813.
Thank you, Advocate Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. So then we know, but by December the 6th, 9th, apologies, by December the 9th, somebody in the IDAC team now has the dockets, and we assume that they would have read those dockets in the same manner that the legal services of SAPS did and arrived at the same conclusion. That's an assumption on my part. I don't see a basis on which they would arrive at a different conclusion. Would that be a fair assumption?
It makes sense, yes.
Yes. So, according to the docket, as far as we know, the next piece of information that comes in is Mr. Adams's A1 statement, which is the first document in this inquiry file. And that you will find at Exhibit 1, page 683. Exhibit 1, Exhibit File 1. And
File 3.
File 3. My apologies, I mixed up my files. And unfortunately, we will have to keep file 8 close by. But I'll not call it immediately. They'll assist you with that file, Advocate. Do you need to? Yes, but not immediately. We'll get to it shortly. So we know that what we have at page 683 of the exhibit bundle is this statement by Mr. Fadiel Adams, which is dated the 6th of January, 2025. If you look at 684, and it was commissioned by Dylan Perumal, that is Chief Perumal, correct? At least that's what...
That is what I see, yes.
Yes, Colonel Padiachi told us. Now, if we go to paragraphs 2 and 3, my assessment is this is the additional information the investigators obtain from Mr. Adams. If we look at paragraph 2, he says in early October 24, he received information anonymously surrounding alleged fraud and corruption being perpetrated within the Division Crime Intelligence of the South African Police Service. The allegation related to a certain high-ranking police official being involved in manipulating promotional and security vetting processes to unduly benefit a civilian person who worked for BMW South Africa before being appointed as a brigadier in CI. She apparently has no policing experience and no management experience, and was appointed as the head of the technical support services. At 3, then he indicates that he was informed that there were several highly skilled and qualified senior police officers who applied for the post but were overlooked by the CI management who favored Mrs. Mukwele over them. The generals involved are Khumalo, CI head Lushaba, CI, Madondo, CI, Legalagala, CI, amongst others. That is the totality of that statement.
I say that.
Would I be correct to assume that at this juncture, now that the referee has been given an opportunity to amplify their original Section 27 affidavit, this would be the point to consider what you have on the table and to determine whether a case has been made out for an investigation?
That would be correct.
Now, considering a highly deficient Section 27 referral, dockets that say almost nothing from the perspective of determining whether or not the an offense has been committed, and if so, by who. Read with the contents of this statement, do you think the referral even gets anywhere close to complying with Section 27?
Sorry, apologies, Commissioners. I only see the statement now, so if you'll just grant me a moment.
Take your time.
Council, in my assessment of this reading, together with the Section 27, it creates a sufficient enough basis for an investigation to go forward.
And I take it to say so because, unlike with the original affidavit, we now have the grounds upon which the suspicions are based.
That is correct.
And the grounds you find where in the statement?
They do refer then to the allegations of fraud and corruption. They say where. They say what the allegation is. The allegation related to certain high-ranking police officials being involved in manipulating promotional and security vetting processes to unduly benefit a civilian person who worked for BMW South Africa before being appointed as a brigadier. She apparently has no policing experience, no management experience, and was appointed. And paragraph 3 going on to say that there were several highly skilled and qualified police officials who applied for the post and were overlooked in favor of.
Yes.
I take it from that reading.
And that latter part, we know paragraph 3 does not invoke the authority and jurisdiction of IDAC. The fact that in the course of recruitment, some more deserving candidates were overlooked is neither here nor there for IDAC. So the only thing we have is what's set out in paragraph 2.
Correct.
And paragraph 2, if it can even be said to set out the grounds, speaks to manipulation of manipulating promotional and security vetting processes to unduly benefit a civilian. So it has become significantly narrow now.
I hear you.
Is it not at this point that you revisit your December the 6th authorization? You remember that we looked at it, file 8, page 3282, which set out a litany of possible crimes and a list of people who must be investigated. Is it not at this juncture you revisit that decision and you say, now that the issues are clarified, I'm happy that the referral in its totality now is complete and grounds have been advanced. I can only support charges relating to manipulation of promotional and security vetting processes.
So, on my reading
Yes.
of paragraph 2, what it says is that an investigation can go ahead to determine whether or not there is veracity in the claims made in paragraph 2.
You said Mr. Adams. No, Mr. Adams can instruct you to.
No, I didn't say Mr. I'm saying that the information herein is, for me, these are the allegations as they are now being made out a bit more clearer. These allegations should be investigated, whether or not they support his allegation or not. It is at that juncture, Council, that one is able to make a conclusive decision to then stop that process, because there are allegations being made. If they are not followed up, we could have been accused of not having conducted further investigation. That is just my assessment of where we are.
Check.
Advocate Johnson, you remember your and my engagement of yesterday about factual conclusions that are lacking in factual substratum supporting the factual conclusions.
Yes, Chair.
I will suggest this to you. I see the content of paragraph 2 to yet again make factual conclusions, which to my mind are not different in substance to the factual conclusions we dealt with yesterday.
I understand.
And do you agree?
I agree.
So I do not see the basis on which you would, based on this affidavit, have come to the conclusion that now there is enough for an investigation to be conducted. If you accept that these are factual conclusions that are not supported by factual allegations that support the conclusions. So I do not see how you get to the answer you gave to Ms. Silolo.
Chair, that was just my reading and understanding of it. And I indicated I see this for the first time today.
Yes.
However,
But,
I follow the sequence of the reasoning that is made by the Chair.
Do you agree with the suggestion
I
I'm
agree
making?
with your suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I just
Yes.
draw to Advocate Johnson's attention? Advocate Johnson, appointments to senior management at SAPS level are governed by National Instruction 11 of 2017. And it appears to me that IDAC is not even familiar with this national instruction, because when Colonel Padayaki was here, he struggled to give answers in relation to this document. Yet this is the document that governs every step in the appointment of individuals such as the brigadier we're talking about here. And clause 17 of this document, I hope it has been provided to you, the national instruction. I see the attorneys seem to have stepped out, but it's National Instruction 11 of 2017. I had asked that a copy be made for you. Maybe, yeah. Lisa? The second last page, clause 15. Just look at the first page first.
The one that starts with the purpose.
No,
Commissioner
look at
Khumalo?
the cover page. It
National
says National Instruction 11 of 2017, appointments to posts in senior management service.
I see that.
And then if you go to clause 15, which is the second last page,
I am there, Commissioner.
Yeah, it says if a candidate is appointed and it appears that the candidate did not comply with the requirements of the appointment, that's paragraph A, we can skip B because B relates to the non-disclosure of criminal record and goes to C if it appears that the candidate provided false information in his or her application or letter of acceptance, or D, the candidate is unable to take up the post. Look at what follows. The matter must be reported, and I emphasize the must be reported to the Divisional Commissioner Personnel Management for a recommendation to the National Commissioner on whether or not the candidate may retain his or her appointment. Do you see that?
I see that,
So
Commissioner.
the prescripts at SAPS govern a situation where an allegation like this is made, that because IDAC is not qualified to determine whether somebody qualifies or does not qualify, if such an issue has arisen, it then gets reported. In fact, it must be reported to that person so that that person can investigate and then make a recommendation to the National Commissioner, because it is the National Commissioner of Police that appoints people to this post. Do you see that?
I see that.
But it bothers me that your investigator, because I don't think this would have been brought to your attention, but your investigators did not even pay attention to a
The
national instruction which governs appointments at this level. And later on, when we go through the provisions of this document, you will see that it governs how panels are set up, who recommends, who approves. It governs how candidates are interviewed and scored. It governs how the recommendation to appoint is then made and who recommends and who appoints. But your investigators say nothing about this. In fact, they pay no regard to it, because even the definition of what is appropriate management experience, not management position, don't confuse the two. Appropriate management experience, the only place where you find that definition is in this document.
Okay.
And your investigators, for reasons that are not clear to me, paid no attention to this and proceeded instead to target a civilian and deal with her in a manner that I have serious difficulties with. So going back to the affidavit, because it goes together, so let's go back to the affidavit. It goes together with the cover page, because the cover page on 682 is described as the statement. And the reason why you have an affidavit is because everything Mr. Adams wants to say cannot fit in this page, on this page 682. So the affidavit has to be an annexure to this page, which says South African Police Service Statement, and then has description of the offense, where the offense took place, what the offense is. So if you just look at the particulars of the offense, it says the date of the offense is October 2024. Do you see that?
I see that.
So there's a specific date. And then it says the scene of the offense. It says it is at Crime Intelligence Offices, Priska Street, Erasmus Kloof, Pretoria. Do you see that?
I see that.
So that's what Mr. Adams limits himself to, because this document gave him options. You will see when it talks about date and time of the incident, he could have chosen the starting point and the end point, but he limited himself to a particular date. And then same with the scene of the offense. It gives him the option between, did it start in Cape Town and continue and conclude in Pretoria? But he limits himself to a particular date when a particular decision was made, and he says, that is the offense, that is the date of the offense. It took place at Crime Intelligence Offices. Do you see that?
I see that, sir.
But IDAC's investigation goes to April, it goes to May, it goes to June, and it targets this individual civilian in circumstances that are simply not justified by the referral or the statement or the affidavit itself.
I see that.
Do you want to comment? Because we'll come back to that later.
I see that, and I see that once you read the national instruction of the police. I see the point that you make.
Yeah. Even on panels, it's very clear. If there's a problem with a panel, there's a procedure for that. If there's a problem with a shortlisting, there's a procedure for that. And this document governs all those things.
I take the point. I see the point.
Thank you, Commissioner Khumalo. For the record, that national instruction for future readers is at file 3, page 706. Exhibit file 3, page 706. Now, staying with the statement then, the second statement of January 2025. Do you still have your second statement, the A1 by Mr. Adams? You recall I said it's page 682?
Yes.
Yes. Now I'm still at paragraph 2.
Of
Yes.
683.
683, thanks.
Thank you.
Yesterday day before yesterday, I've lost track of time now, I apologize. But you highlighted the provisions of section 29 of the NPA Act and 29 capital A, which states an investigator may, subject to control and direction of an ID, exercise such powers and perform such duties. I'm interested in that phrase, subject to the control and direction. And my proposal to you is at this juncture that you do quality control or quality check to determine whether to proceed with this investigation. And in order to do so, you must satisfy yourself that whatever is described in the referral affidavit and firstly complies with section 27 of the Act, but most importantly, brings you or brings that complaint within the confines of section 7. Remember section 7?
Correct. That
we dealt with. Now that we are here, what about all these documents leads you to a conclusion that this matter relates to serious, high-profile, or complex corruption, commercial or financial crimes? As Commissioner Khumalo points out, whatever is clarified by the second statement is that this is about employing a civilian. And there is a process in terms of a national instruction to address that issue. So it cannot be, I suggest, that that employment could come anywhere close to section 7, capital A. How do you get there? We are looking at the same information, you and I now. And I conclude that you could not reasonably have come to the conclusion that we are now within 7A. I want to understand how you get there.
So, Counsel, I get there in terms of the allegation of fraud and corruption and the unduly benefiting of a civilian. Hence, I said initially, I'm not going back on agreeing with the sufficiency hereof. At the time, the assessment is whether there is fraud and corruption and whether someone unduly benefited, and that it does allow for further investigation.
So you're suggesting that you went by section 7, bracket 1, capital A, B. You say that what the referral points out gets nowhere close to the provisions of sub A. So this is just sheer forgery No, you said fraud and corruption.
That is correct.
So you skipped A, the requirement that the matter must be serious, high profile, or complex corruption, commercial or financial crime cases. You completely ignored that part.
Not ignored that part, that it falls within the ambit of the 7B.
But then what is so serious